History doesn't stop. It's a relentless river, carving its path through time. But what if it could be paused? What if an entire community could simply choose silence? There's a place in Europe, a ghost on the edge of memory that no map dares to show. A small village, once alive with the sounds of life, sealed itself off from the world in the chilling winter of 1872. The reason why has been lost to time. The only certainty is that when a strange, unnatural fog rolled in, the clock stopped and the people vanished. The name of this village was Vorrell. It's a name you won't find in history books, a name whispered only in the brittle pages of old letters and the faded ink of unmarked diaries. It all began with the weather. A strange meteorological anomaly. A fog that didn't fall from the sky, but rose from the very earth itself, thick and suffocating. By noon on that fateful day, it had swallowed everything, every house, every winding path, every voice. Imagine the scene. Villagers, their faces etched with a primal fear, hastily locking their doors. The white tendrils of fog creeping through the cracks under the doors and around the window frames. Children, their breath fogging the glass, peering out into an endless white void. A few brave souls, or perhaps just the desperate, tried to leave. They walked into the mist and were never seen again. Those who stayed behind, well, they were never seen again either. Weeks later, when search parties finally arrived, the fog was so dense, so absolute, that it seemed to swallow sound itself. Their calls into the wide abyss were met with a dead, muffled silence. Unable to penetrate the barrier, they marked the area with a perimeter of stones and crude fences, a warning to all who might stumble upon it. And for a century, no one entered again. The world outside simply moved on. Slowly, methodically, the village of Vorrell was erased. In dusty archives across the continent, its name was quietly struck from records. Cartographers redrew their maps, leaving a deliberate, unnerving blank space where a community once thrived. Census records were blacked out, entire family lines disappearing with a stroke of ink. Even the postal routes, which had served the village for generations, were rerouted, curving away as if guided by some unseen, instinctual force. It wasn't that the village was officially forbidden. It was simply forgotten. A deep, intentional kind of forgetting, the kind that feels less like an accident and more like a conspiracy of silence. For 100 years, no one spoke of Vorrell, not because they couldn't, but because some deep, intuitive part of the human psyche warned them not to. It was as if the memory itself carried a contagion of fear. Then, in 1972, exactly 1 century to the day after it vanished, the fog lifted. Just as suddenly as it had appeared, it receded, revealing a world untouched by time. The first images came from above. Satellite photos showed a clearing in the dense forest where nothing should have been. Aerial footage confirmed it, a perfect circle of houses, nestled in the woods, looking as if they were built only yesterday. Investigators, a team of scientists, historians, and officials, cautiously entered Vorrell, expecting to find ruins, the skeletal remains of a forgotten town. But what they found was far more unsettling. They found time itself, perfectly preserved. Bread was still on the tables, not a speck of mold on its crust. Candles sat in their holders, their wicks unburned. A bucket under a well held a drop of water, perpetually caught in the moment of falling. Every single clock in the village, in the town square, in every home, in the church steeple was frozen, its hands pointing to the exact same time, 3:17, the precise hour the fog first rolled in 100 years before. The air itself felt heavy, thick with the weight of a century that had never happened here. It was a vacuum, a pocket dimension where the laws of physics seemed to have been suspended. The team began their work, their every move feeling like a violation of this sacred stillness. Scientists studied the air, the soil, even the insects trapped in amber-like stasis. They found no signs of aging, no decay, no measurable passage of time. It was a scientific impossibility. A paper document found on a desk looked pristine, but when a researcher touched it, it crumbled into 1,000 pieces. A century of its existence catching up to it in a single devastating moment. But the strangest, most chilling discovery of all came from a dusty ledger found in the old church. On the very last page, written in a steady, deliberate hand, was a final, cryptic entry. It read simply, "We have chosen silence so the world may rest." What could that possibly mean? The words echoed in the silent church, raising more questions than they answered. The discovery split the academic world. Some theorists believed the villagers had uncovered something in event, a truth, a power so profoundly dangerous that they chose to erase themselves from history rather than let it spread. Others proposed a more mystical explanation, that the fog was an act of mercy, a natural phenomenon, or a higher power intervening, preserving what humanity was not yet ready to face. The investigation continued for months, but the mystery only deepened. Then, one by one, the investigators themselves began to vanish. Their notes were found scattered in the very same fog that had once claimed the town. Slowly, inexorably, the mist was returning. It crept back through the trees, covering the investigators' footprints, swallowing the houses, reclaiming the village once more. Now only the name remains, a whisper in the annals of the unexplained. Vorrell, a city that slept for a century and perhaps still dreams, waiting for the day it might awaken again. Because time doesn't erase what we forget. It simply waits in silence. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into the unknown. If you enjoy exploring the world's greatest mysteries, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more stories that challenge what we think we know. Until next time, stay curious.